Most thieves enter through doors or windows, but today we're going to see a different kind of thief. A thief descends on his targets from above, from the roof. The problem is, you're going to sympathize with someone you're 1,000,000% sure is a thief. On the 20th of the year 2000, specifically at 1:30 in the morning, employees of a McDonald's branch located in the city of Balm, in North Carolina, they were preparing themselves for a new day, arranging the place and organizing the items. They had put everything in its place before opening, but suddenly and unknowingly, from somewhere, someone appeared. A masked armed man calmly asked them not to move. The strange thing that left them in shock was how the thief came in through the door, which wasn't yet opened, and work hadn't even started. What they didn't know was that the thief who had broken in was called the roof man, meaning the man of the roof, and had come in from the ceiling before the employees arrived for work. The thief spent hours digging in the ceiling, made an opening, and entered very quietly. He remained hidden until the employees came and started to prepare and organize the restaurant for a new day. Then the thief appeared and peacefully asked them to follow his instructions. The manager then He opened the restaurant safe and took all the money, then asked the employees to go into the cold room. Before they went in, he kindly and respectfully asked if anyone wanted to take their jacket with them so they could keep warm until the police arrived. Indeed, the employees took their jackets and he put them in and locked them. He took the money and fled. This criminal, known as Roofman, was one of the most wanted criminals in America at that time. The police did not know who he was and couldn't identify him. They couldn't identify him, but they knew the way in which he carried out all his operations. He always entered his targets from the roof. Roofman focused a lot on McDonald's branches because typically McDonald's branches are very similar and have the same design, and he knew everything about them. McDonald's employees who witnessed his operations described him as fast, accurate, and knew every move he made. The guy planned his operations professionally. At the same time, all the witnesses testified that he was nice and friendly. According to estimates, this thief stole from more than 40 McDonald's branches in 3 years in different states. Of course, brothers, in America, each state is its own country. I lived for a while in a state. New Mexico is a state in its own right. Its size similar to Jordan's, but 3 times larger and a bit more. It's like I said to you, across all the states, he was described as highly intelligent and really no one was able to get a hold of him. But like they say, only a smart man will stumble, and it's not every time you pass the jar. This thief performed the operation that I mentioned to you at the start of the video. During this operation, Roofman left the restaurant after locking the employees in the cooler. However, this time he made a mistake. He didn't secure the cooler door properly. Perhaps on this occasion, one of the staff had a spare key with them. Either way, the employees managed to exit the cooler swiftly and got in touch with the police. The police quickly cordoned off the entire area, and Roofman raised his hands, discarded his weapon and the bag he was carrying, and surrendered. After the police questioned him, they discovered that his real name was Jeffrey Allen Manchester. Jeffrey grew up in the suburbs of California. When he turned 18, he joined the military. Due to his capabilities and high skills, he was selected to serve in the Special Forces. However, during a military operation, the criminals captured Jeffrey and used him as a hostage to negotiate with the army. Subsequently, they demoted him from a frontline soldier to a reserve. This deeply affected his pride. In the year 97, he began his life of crime and carried on. With the robberies that he was doing for 3 years until the year 2000, he does his operations in each area for a certain period, and then he disappears, and then his operations appear in a new area. And the thing that drove the police crazy and made them confused. But after the investigation, they understood that it was Jeffrey's movements from state to state was because he worked with the army during the 3 years that he was doing the robberies. He used to work with the army, and the army, every once in a while, they transferred soldiers from state to state. Because of the trainings, the important thing is that he sentenced Jabri to 45 years in prison. Of course, the ruling for God was a shock, his life, because he was still 27 years old anyway. They sent Jeffrey to North Carolina prison. His name is Brown Kirk to serve his sentence, and there Jeffrey was the ideal prisoner for 4 years. Did it or not? As we all know, prisoners who have good behavior and abide by laws prison and they don't make any problems, they reduce their sentences. But believe me, this thing was not his goal for Jeffrey. Jeffrey only wanted to get out of there in any way. Sometimes Jeffrey. He could hear the sound of a truck describing the prison Porsche as the shipment was bringing materials and things and put it in the garage, and after that you go. And for him to work in this garage means that he is closer to this truck and he can escape in it, for that he submitted a request to the prison administration that they give him. So he works in the workshop. And of course, Jeffrey's good behavior and good reputation in prison convinced the prison administration to agree. On his request, the first time he worked in the workshop, he paid attention and followed the truck's schedules when it came and when it went. When the truck used to come, it would come once or twice in the morning every week, depending on the request. After unloading the required items from it and making sure that no one was hiding in it, they would search it thoroughly, open all the doors, open it from the back, and check if anyone was hiding among the items. It would have been impossible for him to escape in this truck, unless, as we say, he vanished. So Jeffrey started thinking about a way to deceive the guards. One day he quickly went under the truck and took measurements of the iron supports, or what we call the chassis. He then started working on making some wood that he could hang between the iron bars from below. He did this and painted it black. He also got 2 pieces of cardboard and painted them black. He knew how the police searched the truck from below and how they used mirrors to see if anyone was hanging under the truck. That's why he painted the wood and the cardboard black to cover himself from both sides, from his head and his feet. The important thing is that he was waiting for the right time to execute his plan. On June 15th, 2004, the right opportunity came from the sky. It was pouring rain and the truck was scheduled to come that day. Jeffrey knew he had no choice. Better than that to escape in it, and as soon as the prison guards turned their faces away from the truck, he hung the wooden plank between the iron bars and slept on top of it. He put a piece of cardboard in front of his head and one in front of his feet, and after a while the truck driver came back after he unloaded the goods. He needed to conduct a routine search before he departed. They were rushing that day because, as we discussed, the weather was bad and there was a lot of rain. The guards quickly checked the truck from the inside, and then from the outside they checked the truck below with a mirror and did not notice anything strange because the truck below was black. He painted the wood black. Then he covered himself with the boxes he had so nothing was noticeable about Jeffrey. He remained on the wooden plank until the truck exited the prison and moved away from him, and then he leapt from it and fled. Roof Man was the first one able to escape from Brownkirk prison from the first time. The prison guards never anticipated something like this could happen. They didn't even realize he had escaped directly. It took them a short time to figure out the situation, and as soon as they discovered it, they alerted the city police and deployed officers throughout the area, but by that time Jeffrey had disappeared. The police stated that he might return to his hometown in California because his family is there. But contrary to all predictions, Jeffrey decided to stay in North Carolina and in a city next to the prison. The city's name is Charlotte, and it's not far from the prison. Now, everything that has passed is just a pile, and what's to come is another pile. As soon as Jeffrey arrived in Charlotte, he went into a children's toy store. I think you all know it. It's called Toys R Us. He entered the store just like any regular customer, but he was thinking about where he could hide, somewhere unreachable. The store was very large and he was wandering around in there. He saw a closet with goods displayed in it and placed in a spot against the wall. It's clear he saw it in a small space, and as the saying goes, I arrived and God provided. This is the best place for me to hide. It's impossible for anyone to see me unless they removed the closet from its spot, and he actually squeezed into it and stayed there until the store closed. Then he came out and took everything he wanted from the store. The store is a toy store, but as they say, this branch was like a big mall, and they had everything. From there, blankets, beds, kids' meals, and everything. The second important thing he did was that he wanted to see the cameras. He wanted to make sure of the place where he was sitting in case anyone saw him and what were the suitable times that he could go out. Of course, he was able to enter the manager's office, and in there he found the complete surveillance system and the employee's work schedule. Like this, he knew all of their movements and he knew how to turn the cameras on and off and what are the angles covered by the cameras, and from the employee's schedule, he knew their names and I saw their work and what are the tasks that they have to do and what they do in the shop. Is all the information helped him that he lives there for as long as possible without finding out that he lives with them in the shop. Jeffrey, he stayed hidden there in the same place we talked about, behind the closet, and he didn't come out until night. After the employees go, he knows that the police are filling the world and looking for him everywhere, so what he wanted to risk in any way, he stayed patient and ate from the existing baby food in the shop. And don't forget that he is in a toy shop, so he had a lot of things to do with bitter time, and imagine that he stayed living in the shop for 4 full months now. He felt like he lives in prison, but he didn't want to get out of there until he had a well-studied plan so that he doesn't get caught at that time. The year was about to end, and, a place like Toys R Us, how much it would be a crisis and full of customers. If Jeffrey stayed there, he would have been in. It's a big chance to get caught, so he decided it's the right time to look for a new place, the toy store. Next to it was this huge electronics shop called Circuit City. This electronics shop was shut down. They relocated it to a new place and it was totally vacant. Of course, there's a common wall between it and the toy store. Jeffrey went up to the roof of the toy store and kept walking until he reached the roof of the electronics store. Naturally, he had brought some tools with him from the maintenance room in the toy shop and used them to make a hole in the roof of the electronics store. He descended into the shop, and there he found a perfect hiding spot, in a drawer below some stairs. It was vacant and closed off from all sides, with panels painted the same color as the walls. He moved one of the panels and crawled in under the stairs. The place was small, filthy and dark, but it was perfect for vanishing. He was able to connect electricity from the toy shop to his room and also managed to create a route between the electronics store and his maintenance room in the toy shop. Instead of going around via the roof, he found a place under the shelves in his maintenance room in the toy shop and made a hole in the wall, thus creating a secret passage between the two stores. He could enter and leave as he wanted. Naturally, this small place under the stairs became his paradise. After he had electricity, he brought in a bed, light, and screen that he used for spying on the employees of the toy shop because he stole surveillance cameras meant for children and placed them in strategic places throughout the toy shop, thus creating a complete surveillance system outside of the public view. But after a few months of isolation, he started to feel bored. Months had passed since he escaped from prison, and he thought that things must have become calm and the police had stopped searching for him. So he decided that he would start venturing out of his room. But before he went out, he shaved his beard and disguised himself so that no one would recognize him. It was the first time Jeffrey had been out on the street since his escape from prison. He was very happy that he could go out and come back whenever he wanted. But after a while, he needed money and wanted to go into stores and restaurants and experience life. So he decided to rob the toy store again, but this time, unlike before. He steals toys, goods, and eats from here. He was supposed to steal cash. He knew that the money was in a safe in the manager's room in the shop, so he had no choice but it to be an armed robbery. But he did not have a weapon, but during the time he was going out, he saw a shop selling weapons, and it wasn't too far from the place where he was hiding. He returned to his room and prepared himself. Then at 2 a.m, he got out of his hiding place and went to the weapons shop. Like the other times, he opened it through the roof and went down to the shop. He stole 4 pistols and returned to his hiding place in the electronics shop on November 28th, 2004. In the early hours of the morning, before the employees arrived at the store, Jeffrey put on his mask, took his weapons, and went down to the shop. And as always, after they entered the shop, he came out to them and he asked them calmly not to move and everyone get down to the ground. Then he asked the manager to open the safe and give him all the money in it. After he took the money, he walked towards the back emergency exit of the shop and opened the door. This caused the fire alarm to go off, but he did not leave through this door. He wanted to deceive them, mislead them, and make them think that he had left through this door, but he came back. He went to his maintenance room and emerged from an opening that overlooked an electronics store. The employees, of course, promptly called the police. As soon as they arrived, they were told that the thief had escaped through the back emergency exit. The police conducted a thorough search of the entire area surrounding the shop, but to no avail. He was hiding in his secret room with the money he had stolen, which amounted to $15,000. He stayed in his room for a few days until things calmed down, after which he started frequenting shops and restaurants with no fear at all. He even began regularly attending church and made many new acquaintances. He always stole toys from Toys R Us and gifted them to the church's orphans. He had taken the name John Zara and was determined to start afresh, leaving behind his criminal past and prison days. He kept attending church and emerged as an active participant. One day, he noticed a volunteer named Lee, and they set a date to meet and learned more about each other. After a while, Jeffrey told her that he was a covert operative in the intelligence services and that due to the confidentiality of his mission, he couldn't reveal his place of residence or give her any more details about his life. She believed him and the story he fabricated. To all the people he had met at the church, they all believed him, or at least did not question him further. On the subject for a while, Jeffrey was enjoying his life, but then he got tired of lying. I mean, for how long would he continue living in this room in the electronics store? Of course, the shop wouldn't remain closed forever, so he decided that he must leave the place and get out. But he must carry out one last theft. He planned to carry out everything as if it was the first time, but this time things did not go as he wanted it. His increasing confidence, because he was used to this work, led him to make a serious mistake. The process this time was not as precise as the first time. He was monitoring the employees in the first hour of work and was waiting for the right opportunity for them all to be gathered in one place. He threatened them silently and watched until he saw the right moment. He then entered the shop armed, pointed the weapon at them, and quietly told them that no one should move. Suddenly, an employee approached him from behind, whom he did not see, and that's when Jeffrey became afraid and ran away, forgetting to unlock the back emergency exit door. The alarm did not go off when the police arrived. The employees told them everything and that Jeffrey ran towards Joe, but sure enough, he was still in the shop this time. The police searched the store meticulously, and when they reached the maintenance room, they found the hole Jeffrey had made in the wall between the two stores. They entered through the hole and began to inspect the abandoned electronics store. Of course, everyone was shocked by Jeffrey's secret room and the things they found there, but Jeffrey was not there. He had seen everything, and when he felt that his existence was in danger, the police were immediately able to determine the things in the room, and they knew that he was the same prisoner who escaped from prison a while ago, and immediately printed thousands of copies of his picture and wrote his name on it and distributed it throughout the city. After a short time, the people he met at the church saw the pictures and recognized him and told the police that they know him and that he told them that his name is John Zara. And they told him that he loved someone named. The police went to Lee's house and told her about the situation and told her everything and told her that your lover is one of the most wanted thieves in all of America. At first, she refused to believe them, but after the police showed them old newspaper articles with his picture on them when he escaped from prison, she believed them and told them she's going to help them with everything. And I told them she's supposed to meet him tonight. Jeffrey was a lot. He is confident of his situation and sure that the police are impossible to catch him because in the eyes of the police, they don't know who he is. They are looking for it in the first place, but Jeffrey loved the girl and was going to tell her that the intelligence assigned him a mission. She is far away and he might not be able to see her when he first arrived at her house at night. The bell rang. He was surprised that the police who opened the door for him surrounded him from all sides and arrested him before the police. They take him. He asked them to talk to his lover. For the last time, he apologized to her and told her that I love her. And he told her that he was afraid if she knew his criminal past that she would leave him. The girl remained silent. And she didn't say a word. And in an interview with her, she said that she didn't hate him, but she was mad at him at that time. And Jeffrey returned him to prison after 7 months of freedom. But this time, they sentenced him to prison, 47 years in maximum security prison. The thing that all the people who knew Jeffrey's story agreed on, that the verdict was very exaggerated. And many people sympathized with him and said that in the end, he did not kill. There were people who were killed, and his sentences were. Most thieves enter through doors or windows.